husband says he's upset with me because, in his words, "Sweetie, you need to stop spending so much money on DoorDash. Ordering it 3 times a day is not appropriate, and we need to start living within our means." Honey, it sounds like you have an income problem, not that I have a spending problem. Start earning more money and we won't have these issues. So I took his credit card that we share, and I booked a vacation for my daughter Richard and I. We're staying in a hotel tonight, and I hope he enjoys that I charged $8,000 to his credit card. Make more money, darling.
Everywhere you go, you're an anomaly. You're the original anomaly. And all this time, I have been the only one holding it all together.
Miguel, go easy on him!
You don't belong here. You never did. Has no idea what he's doing!
And I'm about to do this. Everyone keeps telling me how my story is supposed to go. Nah, I'm gonna do my own thing.
War isn't a game, girl.
That's funny. Soldier 76 said the same thing.
You spend your second chance at life walking a lonely road.
No one cares, monk.
Someone always cares. You must simply seek them out.
I shouldn't be surprised you took his side.
You never gave me much choice. Wanna know what Martina's been up to?
Not interested.
That's not what my tracker says.
Are you ever tempted to contact your wife?
No,
Afraid she would try to kill you?
I'd be surprised if she didn't.
Your body seems to be adapting well to the changes, Gabriel.
This is what you call well.
Welcome, my friends. My name is Antoine Phoenix, and this is my RP experience. Peace and love to all my brothers and sisters out there. Thank you for hitting the like button, subscribing, sharing, and turn on all notifications so you know when I have a whole new video up. Today's video is going to be about how I, myself, failed in my marriage. Not sure of the title I'm going to use, but I might go ahead and just use that one. I don't know. I think that one should be catchy enough. Now, when you have a relationship between a man and a woman, even in friendships, as the relationship goes on, there will be things that both of you do that will be good and bad for the relationship. And I think you can get in front of a lot of those things becoming potential problems is if you are accountable, if you can admit that you are wrong. And I will reiterate on this yet again. I believe men are far better at this than women. Not that there are men that will say never apologize to a woman. I think they have it wrong. I mean, don't be groveling, apologizing, trying to get her to stay. That I don't think you should do. But if you do something wrong, if you embarrass her, you hurt her feelings, emotions, you should be big enough to say, hey, I was wrong. And a lot of men will do that. I will admit, a lot of women do not do that. And I already did a video about that. There will be some that will, and even then it will be a thing. And I have to catch myself because sometimes I do it too. It's like, yeah, I'm sorry, but I did it because you did that particular thing. And I do think you taint the apology when you do that particular thing. I understand why women do it because I can kind of get into into that emotional depth right there because, okay, I'll use this as an example. Let's say a woman is flirting at a function and I'm getting irritated. There are lots of things that I could do, okay? And a lot of things would be the wrong thing. I think the best thing to do is to try to pull her aside and tell her, like, hey, I think you are getting a little bit too out of control right there. And you know what I'm talking about. Could you calm that down? I'm starting to feel embarrassed and I'm starting to feel like something is going on between you and such and such. That's the correct way to do it. A lot of us don't do that particular thing. I have to admit, I have not always did that. I may do it like after the fact, after maybe doing a silent treatment or either branching off and being mad at the person. And that's how, well, that's another way how I felt with the communication. I didn't say. Now, one of the reasons I obviously would do that is because I would feel like she would not really care. Or maybe she would care, and after she talks to her friends, then she would come back and either do the same thing or throw it in my face, in so many words. So I put that example right there of the flirting thing. What I generally would do is maybe I'll give them a hint that I'm getting irritated. And if they don't stop, then I will start flirting. And that's not the best thing to do right there. Okay. I think the best thing is to tell them. And if they don't stop, you have to be prepared to leave. And I think you can only do that a couple of times before they start calling your bluff, because I would leave if she disrespected me in a certain kind of way. But I would end up coming back. And a lot of times that would be because she would say, oh, I'm sorry. And in those cases, maybe she would say that she's sorry. I won't do it again, blah, blah, blah. And then we would be cool. Or either she wouldn't apologize. She'll just put on the sappy thing like, you're going to leave me, blah, blah, blah. And then we end up rolling around. And I have to admit that makeup S will always keep me pinned down. And I have to admit that was good because I guess there's a lot of emotions going on when you do it on top of that. But I think you should tell them what's making you upset, see how they are acting, then leave. Don't do it back. And I'm not sure if that is always wrong to not try to get the person back, but then that becomes a game and you'll always be doing it back and forth to each other. And sometimes people are clueless and don't realize what they was doing because everybody else has been letting them get away with that. Even with women like talking crazy to men. A lot of other men before you have let her get away with that crazy stuff right there. So anyway, I have a video by Mediocre Tutorials that's talking about money. And I have to admit that was a big thing that brought the house of cards down in my relationship. It wasn't at first, but over time, I didn't handle that as well. So let him do it from here.
Let's talk about the one thing that ruins more relationships than bad communication: money, finances. Yep, that green paper can turn love into a civil war real quick. I mean, who hasn't felt that awkward tension when your card declines and suddenly you're both pretending like it's a glitch? Or when date night feels less like romance and more like a budgeting meeting. But here's the real. Money fights aren't just about the numbers. They're about trust, control, and even your own self-worth. And if you don't get ahead of it, it can tear down even the strongest of relationships. And the data supports this. The number one cause of divorce: finances. So today I'm going to break it all down for you guys. How money can make or break relationships. And I'm going to give you some practical strategies to keep both your finances and your love life intact. Because let's be real, love may not cost a damn thing, but the breakups, they're expensive. All right, now picture this. You're sitting at the dinner table, plates barely touched. She's scrolling through her Instagram or just social media app of choice, pretending not to care, while he's staring at the bills on his phone, wondering if he's failing, not just as a provider, but as a man in the relationship. See, at first, it was all good. They were laughing, making plans, and dreaming about vacations. But after, when the relationship starts to age, the cracks start showing. Payments get missed, late fees begin to show up, and subtly, the little things, they start feeling like the big things. Organic versus frozen meals, brunches versus savings. Y'all get the picture. She's talking about how they need to live a little, go out, enjoy themselves, have an abundance mindset, while he's staring at the numbers like, how are we going to afford any of this? Credit card balances creep up. He avoids checking the statements, while she's hoping that he won't notice that one extra Amazon order. And before you know it, they're sleeping back to back, silent, stubborn, and scared to admit what's really wrong. And at this point, it's really not about the numbers anymore. It's about respect, trust, and feeling like you're on the same team. But right now, they're not teammates, and he's definitely not the leader. They're opponents. And when you're fighting each other instead of the problem, nobody wins. Sound familiar? Well, don't worry. You are obviously not alone. And most couples, they stay stuck right there, blaming each other until there's nothing left worth saving. But the two in this story, they found a way out. And I'm about to show you exactly how. So one day, boom, her car breaks down. $1,200 for repairs, and they only got $500 in savings. He gets frustrated, feeling like he's failing as a provider. She's panicking because this just confirms her biggest fear, that they're not prepared. In the blame game, oh, it's on. He again wants to pull out his credit card for the expense, and she's like, didn't I tell you that we needed a rainy day fund? And at this point, he's hearing the criticism and she's hearing the excuses, and nobody's hearing solutions. And he's thinking at this point, how am I supposed to fix this? While she's thinking, I told him that this would happen. And before you know it, it comes to a head because they're yelling over each other, not hearing a word being said. And now he's like, what you want me to do? Pull the money out of thin air? And she's firing back like, no, I just want you to listen for once, instead of pretending that everything is okay. And it's not even about the money anymore. This is about respect, trust, and feeling like they're on the same team, one of which he's leading. But right now, they ain't teammates, they're opponents. And the craziest part about this entire situation, they're both right, somewhat. But being right doesn't pay the bills. So what happens next? So here's where the game changes.
Wow, yeah, that money stuff is no joke. Even if you have a loving relationship, if you do not get your finances under wrap, this will be a problem later. And there's layers to this too, but we're just going to keep to what he's talking about right here with these two in the relationship. Now, in my case, this was a bit of the opposite at times. Now, sometime I was on the other side with the spend, but usually I am a saver. I always like having a nest egg of money. I always like a certain amount there, just in case I need it when I want to just go, or I need to get away, or a vacation or something. Now, of course, with my life situation right now, my ex-wife, she always had problems with managing her money. And I tried to be a example of how to do it. And then once I saw that was basically her with the spending, and it wasn't like she would buy a lot of shoes. Her thing was eating out. And sometimes I would indulge in it too because it was fun to eat out and go do things. At a certain point, though, you need to cut the spending. And that means both of you. There was times that I indulged a little bit. Usually I was under control. And the thing that I found once me and my ex-wife had like split up, or even after me and the last woman I was serious with broke up, I was not struggling to keep money in my account or my pockets. Even with paying child support, which I'm not against paying child support. I wonder if I should do, well, I don't have to do a long video on this. Maybe I'll do something on TikTok or something, or maybe I'll do a short. I have no problem giving money for my kid because it's things that my kid needs. And it's not their fault that her mom and her dad choose the wrong people to make a baby with. Okay? Because we was having problems before, and that just carried over and escalated once we had a kid. That being said, I don't mind paying for that, but I do not want to be trying to pay for her lifestyle, or I'm talking about any of my ex's lifestyle after we had split. This is why I don't want no more kids. That way, if things don't work out, no strings attached. Really, almost no marriage neither. But I might be inclined, maybe, if I meet the woman that sells me a good dream, I might walk that out again. I don't mind if she has a kid. I don't know about more than one because I only have one. I don't think I want any more because I really don't trust how a woman's going to act once she gets that much leverage, besides having the leverage with the marriage. Anyway, getting back to the finances thing. I think, and of course, I mean, I can always say, well, I was young and dumb. I should have communicated that better and told her, and that way I could have saw before we start hitting those milestones, marriage and kids. Because fortunately, we did not do that right away. It was some years before those things came into play. Once I saw that I could not, what's the word for that? I could not maintain the payments of keeping her as my girlfriend because of how she would go through her money and then mine. And as a man, I don't mind paying for stuff for my woman. Actually, it was things that I did on my own because I had a feeling she wouldn't do because she was more of a tomboy. So I got her hair done, her nails done. Probably was wrong in a way. I saw potential how she could look, so I tried to have her look like the type of woman I definitely would go for. And not that she wasn't already cute before, but however, once she spruced up, she looked a lot better, and we looked more of a match or something. Yeah. Anyway, getting back. He has some other stuff to say with this particular thing.
Rock bottom. No more pretending, no more guessing, and no more pointing fingers. They're both broke, tired, barely speaking, but neither of them wants to give up. So they sit down, pen, paper, and receipts everywhere. And they finally start talking. And trust me, it ain't easy for them. She's mad about his overtime hours, as what they always are. They want you to make good monies but spend as much time as possible with them, while he's mad about her extra Amazon orders. But then something shifts. She looks at him and says, I don't want to lose us over this. And for the first time in weeks, he believes her. They then begin the painstaking relationship with a budget that makes sense. Nobody wants to feel like their entire life is one long struggle. You got to keep some joy in the budget or you'll snap. But the real key in all of this, they split finances without splitting up. He has an account, she has an account, and one joint account for bills as well as savings. That way, they can keep some independence without all the drama. Building a framework like this stops the idea of who spent what and starts the idea of how do we build together. And that right there is a game changer. In the first time in months after talking about their finances and setting a plan into motion, they felt in control, not just for money, but also control of their future. They realized that it's not just about the money. It was about learning how to work together with a plan. And that plan changed everything. And once they set their plan into motion, they started setting even bigger goals, bigger vacations, bigger investments, maybe even a business one day. Now, I want all my fellas to listen to this. Being the man in the relationship doesn't mean that you're controlling every aspect of money. It means that you lead with accountability. Those two things are not the same thing. Leadership has never been about calling all of the shots. Real leaders, they set plans into motion, clear plans that teammates can follow while providing the correct decision rights within the structure that the leader has created. You can't tell your girl to trust me if you yourself as a man moving reckless within the budget, especially if it's the budget that you created. Trust is built in the little things, like showing the plan and then sticking to it by any means necessary. Now, there's some people that think that creating a budget is limiting, and I completely disagree with this, because if anything, creating a budget makes you more free, because now you have a system that determines what you can spend and what you cannot. And it is freeing not having to check your account every 5 minutes to determine you can pay for something or wondering there's enough in there. In this couple's case, figuring out how to work together as a couple doesn't make the man weak, because it made the relationship stronger. Gentlemen, again, listen to me. Lead with clarity instead of control. Control will stress you the hell out, and you'll find yourself doing most of the work, putting the burden on your back to solve everything. That's not leadership. You're a strong individual contributor. But being a good leader, that's when respect will naturally come. And respect is what's necessary to keep the relationship solid. Now I want to hear from y'all. What's the wildest fight that you've ever had about money? Drop it in the comments down below and let's talk about it. And while you're at it, let me know what's one thing that you and your lady have done to get on the same page financially. And last but certainly not least, join my men's self-development community at school.com/MTArmy. These are the type of discussions that we have. These are the type of lessons that we teach our men. There's so much education up there from a financial perspective that will aid you in your life going forward. The content that I drop up here is just the tip of the iceberg. Come and tap in. But all right, I'm out of here. I'll catch you guys on the next one. And trust me, you're not going to want to miss it, because next time we're going to be talking about the sneaky habits that quietly drain your bank account and how to stop them. Take care, y'all.
I see where I went wrong in that. And at the same time, I can see how men don't always have the strength or the fortitude to bring these conversations up. Because even if your woman will sit down and talk to you, she just needs to have one friend that be like, oh, he's trying to go 50-50. And that's the thing. I was never one of those 50-50 guys. The thing was, I think, if I went through something like I lost a job or my hours got cut or I got injured or sick or something, I would not want to put that pressure on her, but I would hope she would be able to hold the fort down till I get back on my feet without making it harder by keep trying to spend and listen to other people instead of just saying, Oh, well, you just need to get a better job. I was trying to get a better job. I was trying to get in a better position, but you didn't like the job that I was picking. And that's something that women don't understand either. Sometimes you can't get the particular, sometimes you got to get what you can get. And of course, she would be right at sometimes about me maybe getting into a particular job and scared that I'll stay in that particular job. Like at one point, I was going to do truck driving and I was just looking at the money. And my plan was to start making that certain type of money and then start stacking and saving and then get out of it and do a job that's not as much of a time apart type of thing. Could we have survived that? I don't know. Maybe not. That's why I was thinking at that point in time. So, either way, I know because I didn't have the hard conversations, I didn't try to get her on the same page with spending by telling her we need to cut that out and therefore seeing if she's not going to be with me in that type of way, then is no reason for us to get married and we may as well go our separate ways. However, because of her loyalty, when I've got evicted and when we was going through stuff, and even when she went through things with someone passing away, and it somewhat strengthened our bond together. And I would definitely have to say, despite how it ended, she definitely was ride or die. I actually have to do a video of women that are ride or die. The thing is, though, they may not be ride or die forever. And I do think it's some cons with women who are ride or die as well. So that was a good, very good video by MTR. He actually surprised me with that one. And that actually gave some solutions. Thing is, though, who realistically is going to do this? Not that many. At least maybe if you see this example as a man and you have a woman that's working with you at this point in time, because how she is right now, she may not be like that a couple years from now, but if she's malleable right now that you can somewhat work with her, then this could work. You can sit down, get on this particular plan, and take and do this particular thing. And that's the thing too. While men are supposed to be the providers and things, it's the same thing that women are the caregivers of the kids. What if she gets sick? What if she gets injured? Then the man has to swoop in and help her out. The same thing with housework and stuff. That's why I do believe that we both had gender roles, because women will always say what men should do, but not what they should do, but what men should do. So that tells me that most of us do believe in gender roles, but it seems like it's only when it applies to the men. The thing is, realistically, we do have certain roles that both genders tend to do. Thing is, though, they may not always be able to do it, and sometimes they may need help. I do think you need to speak up and tell the other person that you are in a relationship with, because truthfully, if you can't talk to them and tell them what you're going through and what you need, what's the point of being with them? And I think a lot of times it boils down with men. It's like, oh, she's so fine, she's so beautiful, and not just that. That woman might have been the best that he was able to get in his environment. Because as I say before, while a lot of people say it's not sufficient to see, yes, but you have to find somebody that you like and they like you, that you're both compatible, you both have life goals similar, your social circle, you're able to bear the social circle, okay? You can't be hanging with the hip hop crowd and she's hanging with the emo crowd. Now, of course, though, opposites do attract, because I know in my case, I tend to attract the opposite, and sometimes I'm attracted to the opposite because it always goes by the connection that I have with the person, with the woman. So it doesn't always, it doesn't really matter what race she is or even what she's into to a degree if we have a connection. However, there's a lot more to it, such as if we can communicate, if we can sit down, if we're going through this kind of hard stuff like this, will we listen to each other? And I agree totally with him, which I'm glad he said it, because not most of us, I'm not saying the guys that are pushing the agenda, but most of us, especially me, that got into this space talking about these types of subjects. I don't want to domineer over a woman. I don't want to be controlling her and telling her, like, hey, you can't go here and there and all that other stuff, because that can be exhausting. I will hope she has emotional intelligence to tell after I say, like, okay, I'd rather you not do that or not do that as much, or maybe I feel like that person is a threat to our relationship or something. Can you dial that down a bit or something? And have her hear me and listen. Is that hard to do? So that's always the thing there. But yeah, I didn't communicate the best, and I know financially I was not where I should have been, or either I should have stayed. Okay. So that's where I failed. She failed with, I think I wasn't her first choice, or either she did care about me, but she probably never really loved me like I loved her at a time. Now I will admit, at a bit, I stopped loving her to a degree as well after the toxicity started building and building, and then I just cared about her. I think she loved the dream of us being together and the fantasy, but I don't think she loved me as a person or accepted me, really, when I think of it. So, anyway, give me a like and subscribe, and have a good day.